Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming to tonight's Tuesday, November 21st, 2023 meeting here at the Annex. I'd like to call the meeting to order. At this time, I would like for those of you who can to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before you sit down, I'd like to have one moment of silence in honor of our veterans, present and past. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call.
Trustee Smith,
Here.
Trustee Ruggles just texted me and he will not be here today, excused. And Clerk Noble here, Supervisor Colwell.
Here.
Treasurer Roman,
Here.
Trustee Powell,
Here.
and Trustee Voorhees.
Present.
Very good. Seeking a motion for approval of the
I'd like to
agenda.
make a quick motion to excuse Trustee Ruggles
I'll second
for
that.
our council.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Next item would be the approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
So moved, Mr. Supervisor.
I have a motion from Mr. Powell, supported by? Support by Mr. Roman. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next item is public comment. Public comment is for you to talk about generally things that are not on the agenda, because this board has, oftentimes when there's an agenda item and a discussion comes up of that particular item, that we'll often look for hands in the crowd to see if somebody has something of a concern that they want to express on that. So if you have something at this time that is not on the agenda, you need to come forward and identify yourself at the pulpit for the recorder, and we can go from there. Anyone at this time? Come forward, sir. Right there.
Jason Hooper. I have a place 9093 Hickorywood. Neighbor's been renovating their house, and watershed is going right to my crawl space. Haven't had any luck trying to get anyone to come out to look at it. I just want to know what I can't do. I put a 100-foot drain line in to try and disperse some of the water, but concrete's all the way to the fence, the property line, sloped 1.5 inches at my crawl space and basement. And just wanted some kind of help with it. I didn't, tried to do everything I could to make it work.
Okay.
I like my neighbor, she's a nice lady, but I don't want my house destroyed.
I would suggest getting a hold of Mr. O'Neill in our Community Development Department. He's our
Okay.
Community Development Director, and he will address this matter with you. Mr. O'Neill.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you. I'd like to get an appointment then.
Okay. Thank you. If you just call the office and get for Community Development, and they'll get you through to him.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else at this time?
Good evening, Charles Schott, 417 Rosario Lane. I'd like to call the board's attention to the rise in the unpaid for or unallocated funds for retirement planning. I've seen the graph on the MI website, and that continues to go up. I thought it would go down over the past 5 years. And yes, 2020 COVID was an anomaly, but it seemed to go up a lot each year, with the exception of 1 year. So I would ask the board make those figures more public. I have not finished my own hobby of study and learning about it, but it doesn't make sense to me. I see the expenditures increasing in the board, and yes, getting a new township hall is nice. It's probably good to get out of the mold. I know I wouldn't like to work in that. I work for the federal government at Selfridge, and once Legionnaire's disease actually hits people and causes them to retire, yes, that's a real concern for health. So I can relate to that. So all that put into balance, I'm not as smart or see or pay attention to all the figures like you do, but I would like to be more eyes on. I'd like to have more review of the health and the retirement plans, if they are or are not fully funded for the township workers. Just make that known and put it in perspective with the increasing cost of the budgets over the years. And if we need to raise taxes, I'd like to be aware of that in the future. Does the township hall increase our taxes? I know the TIF is coming up next week. So I guess I have some questions at this point. I would just like more observation and more promulgation to the public rather than just we're 74% funded. While that may be true, to see an increase in unfunded liability for retirements and their health care, to me that's a concern for the workers here and for the public in the chance that we may get hit with a unfunded liabilities ourselves that we would have to pay for at some point in time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Be happy to discuss that with you if you'd like to make an appointment at my office.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else at this time? That being said, moving on to the consent agenda, looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion to approve. Looking
I'll
for
support
support.
that.
I have support from Andrea. All in favor?
Aye.
We have minutes from two meetings. We have minutes from the special board meeting of October 4th and the regular board meeting of October 17th. Looking for questions, comments, corrections from board members at this time. Otherwise, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve
You
the
have to
special
stop
board meeting minutes of October 4th and the regular board meeting of October 17th.
I have a motion to approve. Looking for support?
Support.
I have to take a quarter out for that one. Okay, Mr. Powell gets that one. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Next item is a public hearing, and this is a public hearing to approve the fiscal year of 2024 Community Development Block Grant Program. And at that hearing, as I will remind my board members, that board members are to remain silent, okay? As it is the public's opportunity to say something. As a HUD entitlement community, Oakland County receives funds on a formula basis to meet the national objectives of 4 federal grants, one of which is the Community Development Block Grant, which we are going to hear a public input for the fiscal year 2024 application tonight. The overall goal of the CDBG funds is to strengthen neighborhoods by supporting local revitalization projects, home improvement, and public services for senior citizens, low-income persons, and families disadvantaged, youth, and disabled residents. The deadline for White Lake to submit this application in Oakland County for fiscal year 2024 CDB funding is December 1st. And the township recommendation will be for the following programs to include in its application: minor home repair, senior services, Meals on Wheels, and domestic violence, Haven Incorporated. So we're going to make a motion to go into that public hearing, and at that time, I only would like to hear from the public. So I'll make a motion at this time to go into a public hearing on the CDBG grant application.
Support.
I have motion and support. Roll call vote.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Supervisor Kowal.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Powell.
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Okay, we are now in public hearing. If anyone has any comment on the I can never get that, CDBG
Yeah.
block grant application, please recognize yourself to the board. Yes, sir.
Charles Schott, 417 Rosario Lane.
You got to go to the mic.
Charles Schott, 417 Rosario Lane. Is this year's application the same as years before? Is it increased? Is it likely to be funded? And if we don't get the funding, do we have to fund it ourselves? Funding questions.
Well, this is strictly comments only, questions I can address here shortly after the public hearing, okay?
Okay.
All right. Any other comments? Seeing no other public commentary at this time, I make a motion to close the public hearing. Looking for support.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Public hearing is now closed. Tricia Pergament, would you care, Tricia's my deputy, and is the director for that particular program here in White Lake Township. Could you answer his question for me?
Yeah, so the, generally
Trish,
speaking,
you're gonna need to go to the podium.
generally speaking, we base our program funding on the prior year's numbers. They're estimates, so we don't know what we're going to get until it's granted. But this year, the overall amount is similar. However, the county has put a cap on our public servant funds. They changed it from 30% to 15%. And that's because in years prior, some of the communities were not doing public service projects, so it left us able to do more for those of us that wanted to do it. But now they have more communities utilizing the public service allotment, so it has reduced ours to 15%. So having said that, we can do, the minor home repair project is not a public service project, so that's where the bulk of the money will be going. And then we can spread 15% of that overall allocation over to 1 to 3 projects. But they have to be at least 3,500. And so with the estimate that I did, we could only do 2 projects. In the past, we've done 3 public service projects. So this year, we've come to rely on the Meals on Wheels for our seniors, so we're continuing to recommend that project. And Haven has come to, that's one of the projects that we feel is important. And then the third one that we've generally done that I did not include this year was the Huron Valley Youth Assistance, and mainly that's because they have funds they have not been able to expend yet. So we have to have, if they don't expend the funds in a certain amount of time, we have to take them back and use them for other things. And so I didn't want to add more to what they already haven't spent. So, so that's the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, seeing none, I would like to move on to the next. We will have a resolution for that shortly after this next hearing. The next public hearing that we have is going to be for to hear the public comments regarding approving the 2024 township budget. So at this time, anyone has any comments, I should say, on the 2024 township budget, which is actually less than last year's budget by a little bit, we'll be able to do that. So I'm going to make a formal motion that we open the public hearing to hear public comment regarding approving the 2024 township budget. Looking for support?
Support.
I have motion support by trustee Smith. Roll call vote.
Supervisor Kowa,
Yes.
trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
trustee Powell,
Yes.
treasurer Roman.
Yes.
And clerk Noble, yes.
Okay, we are now in public hearing for the township 2024 budget. If there's any comments from the public, please come up to the podium, identify yourself for the recorder, and state your case. Seeing there's none, I will close public comment, make a motion to close public comment. Looking for support?
Support.
I motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. Moving on. New business. Resolution 23-043, approving the fiscal year 2024 Community Development Block Grant Program application. You're all pretty much familiar with that. You know what it does. Looking for a motion.
Supervisor Kowa, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 23-043, approving the PY 2024 Community Development Block Grant Program CDBG application.
Thank you. Mr. Roman?
Support.
Motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's have it. Number 2, resolution 23-045, 2024 General Appropriations Act. And the General Appropriations Act, of course, is a whole lot of information. And David, where are you? You want to come up and just kind of give the public kind of a little synopsis of that? Be brief. Okay.
Well, as you're aware, the township board is required to hold public hearings both to approve its tax rates, as millage rates that we levy, that we did in August of this year, as required before the September 30th deadline to get those rates to the county. It's also required under the General Appropriations Act to hold this public hearing to hear comments from the residents, to have input on the process for how we are spending our money for fiscal year 2024.
Okay, any questions from the board at this time? Okay, I thank you. It's a very thorough application act that you put together for the board. I certainly appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Seeing at this time, I would like to move this for adoption. Looking for a motion?
Motion to approve Resolution 23-045, the 2024 General Appropriations Act.
I have a motion, looking for support.
Support.
I have a motion and support from Trustee Smith. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Item C, request to approve the 2024 township budget. As you all know, we have gone through that in detail. Everyone had received the first preliminary copy, then everyone received the end copy of that. And we have, I will read this for the public. General expenditure for the township operation, $6,451,579. Total expenditure for fire, $5,047,410. Total police expenditure, $7,872,840, and that includes the crossing guards because I didn't have that on my first report. Building department is $831,560. The water department, is $2,080,401. The sewer department is $3,222,500. Parks and Recreation is $1,300,000. Rubbish, $2,356,070. And our Public Act PA 188 money is $285,800. So that's, we're further ahead than we were last year, and we are trying to be as careful and cautious with the funds as they are not our own. Okay, so I appreciate that. So I am looking for a motion.
Mr. Supervisor, before that, could you just point blank answer the question, are we raising any taxes for this budget?
No.
That's correct. Thank you. I wanted that to be out there.
And we are not, okay? Taxes in general in the township, obviously, you've got the Headley Act, you have all the other property tax things that are mandated by the state, not White Lake Township. And we do not have any intention to raise any taxes, nor does this board have any intention to levy any millage tax or anything of the sort related to a funding mechanism to pay for the new township facilities, okay? So we've done our homework, we've done our math, and we're gonna get there. So,
Just a comment.
yes, sir.
Because I've mentioned to the board that we may decide as a board whether or not to administer the admin fee on the tax bills. It's a 1% fee that goes towards helping pay for treasurer and assessor costs. So I don't want to take that one
No,
off the table.
that is true, that is the
Just,
one.
yeah, it's not a millage, but.
No, and that, we are one of the few communities in this area that does not charge it. So, but nonetheless, point of order, thank you. Okay, I'm looking for entertaining a motion. Mr. Powell.
Mr. Supervisor, I move to approve the 2024 township budget as presented.
I have a motion to approve, look for support.
I'll support it.
I have support from Clerk Noble, roll call vote.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Supervisor Kowal?
Yes.
Treasurer Roman?
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees?
Yes.
Trustee Powell?
Yes.
Very good, thank you. Okay. Item D, Resolution 23-052 liquor license application for 9260 Cooley Lake Road Filling Station Burger Bar LLC. I'm going to bounce this off the clerk's office and community, no, you didn't, yeah, I know, it was a clerk, right?
He's the
I didn't know
guy.
if they came in to see you too. Mr. Clerk?
Yes, a background investigation was presented along with appropriate paperwork with the state, with the township. We currently have, I believe, 3 licenses, correct?
Correct.
That are in our possession. This applicant is, if I'm repeating myself, 9260 Cool Lake Road. So the paperwork is in order, and at this point, it's up to the board to vote on if we're going to approve this application tonight.
Well, is the applicant here tonight? Hi. Hi. Could you come to the podium, please?
Hi.
You are Stacy, how do you say your last name?
Oris.
Stacy, how long have you had this, how long, you bought out somebody, started it up? I know, I don't know the whole
It
story.
used to be the old Nick and Tony's, Coney Island. So I live right behind there on Cooley Lake. Visited Nick and Tony's all the time. Super sad to see them go. The building did become available. I've owned restaurants, small takeout businesses for the past 15 years and was super excited to be able to open one in my own community. So 2.5 months we've been open now, selling craft burgers, milkshakes. We're not changing our hours. We're open only until 9 o'clock. Just want to add some beer, wine options for the community.
Okay. There has been some conversation on this internally, and we appreciate everything you're doing there, and believe me, we don't want to see the building sit empty. But we currently have, the licenses that we have are more or less reserved for certain economic areas.
Okay.
And one of them is Town Center District, which our new city hall will be in the area. 2 licenses are reserved for that district, and 1 license is reserved for the Gateway District, okay? So we currently don't have anything available outside of that district, okay, of those districts. It is the township's right to reserve those for those particular economic areas that are part of our master plan. And I do applaud you in your application and renovation of your building. I did do a little bit of digging around, and I would like to have you make an appointment to come in and see me,
Okay.
because there might be an avenue, I don't want to get into it too much right now, that will not affect our quota.
Okay.
And that would be something that would be advantageous for us, and it would be advantageous for you.
When
So-
do you anticipate the licenses being used in those areas?
As soon as those areas go under development, we
So a
have-
couple
Development
years?
is in '24. We'll start breaking ground on the one area, and on the other area, we've already entertained a couple different site plans and are awaiting some other site plans to be submitted that included a restaurant on the lake.
Would it be possible to, give the opportunity that you're, discussing with me to that future plan instead of having, to wait on those licenses for
There
a
is
township?
a long process. We are given licenses every 10 years in conjunction with the census. So we have made a plan, and we're intending at this time to stick to it. So,
Okay.
but there may be an avenue, and I would like to talk to you about it.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so you said we have 3 licenses left?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Aren't there different types of liquor licenses?
There's the Class C, which is the typical beer, wine, and liquor. There's also a tavern license. Unfortunately, the tavern license is what they call an unrestricted Class C, and it accounts against your quota. So there would be no benefit for us to go down that road. But there may be 1 or 2 other avenues, of which I'm not going to get into a conversation with right now about. I'll discuss with the applicant and see what direction we can give her.
What do we have? Do we have our 3? Are those Cs, Rick?
Yes.
Those are Cs, okay. Is there any kind of license that would only allow beer and wine and no liquor?
That's a tavern license.
That is the tavern
It
license.
still goes against your quota.
I got you.
That's the problem. That's the problem with the liquor law that legislators need to change. Okay, little hint there to the crowd. So that it allows communities like ours and others that have areas that we'd like to see some people to be on. I'd like to
Right.
go in and have a burger and sit down and have a beer or a glass of wine. I have no problem with that at all. And I think the state, and we can go down this avenue, but I'd rather not, should separate at that specific distinction. But we'll see where it goes.
Can you explain a little bit about, so the state gives us these licenses?
We are issued the ability to issue a license based on our population. And the last census is what set us up, and we now have 3 of them.
How long have these licenses been in holding for these future projects?
We can hold them indefinitely.
How long have they been held?
I don't have a specific date or timeline, yeah, but we can hold them indefinitely,
I understand.
because they are part of the master plans, okay?
Stacy, how long have you guys been open now?
2.5 months.
2.5 months? How are
Yeah.
you guys doing as far as?
We're doing great. The community's been super supportive, but I will be honest, I mean, running a restaurant, the profit margins are small. It's hard to make a living in restaurants, and, I'm breaking even at this point. I definitely do think that beer and wine would be a huge incentive for, to make a living at this project. There's only 40 seats. I know there's an outside seating that I was also told. I signed a license, I went into the building and then was told that the outside seating was no longer permitted or, had been being set and is no longer allowed. So that was a big shock to me. Coming into this community and seeing those 3 liquor licenses, I was not aware that they were held for a master plan at all. It's a surprise to me for sure.
If I may,
Yes.
I just want to address a couple things. One, I want to welcome you to the community.
Thank you.
I've heard a lot of great reviews on there. I haven't stopped in myself yet, but I want to, so I will. So I congratulate you on your success so far. But we've had applicants come to us, this board, in the past for a liquor license, and they come beforehand. The last liquor license we gave, they came to us in the planning stages, so they knew how to
Sure.
proceed. I don't know if you're going to open up any other restaurant in a different community, but just a little pro tip there is approach them first and see if they are available, if you're,
Sure.
thinking of that. Because if you had come to us before you got going, then it wouldn't be such a shock to you.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stacy, at your you have a location in Lake Orion, right?
Correct.
Do you have a beer and wine license?
We do. Through the development agency, it took a long time to get a license through the DDA in Lake Orion.
So how long did it take you to get that license?
About 6 months.
6 months, so how many did they have in Lake Orion?
None available. The development board is able to offer those licenses if you put a certain amount of money into a project.
So you had to,
It's a
kind of like a
DDA.
community give back, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
DDA is different.
Have you looked at other licenses that you could purchase throughout the state and transfer here?
I have not for this project.
Okay. So that could be an option too.
Yeah,
And
an
it's not-
expensive
Could be
one.
expensive too.
For
so-
sure. Yeah,
So we're just trying to. come up with some
absolutely. I
solutions.
appreciate, the thought again.
And we
like
appreciate you
said.
being here.
Yeah.
With your business.
We want you to succeed, we really do, but,
It's going to be tough, to be honest, without a beer and
That
wine.
we should probably address is she asked about outside seating. I believe Nick and Tony's was given that for COVID reasons, correct? Director
So
O'Neill?
to answer that question, we have tried to be flexible with the outdoor seating component in the ordinance. And the differentiation we make is that when there's not outside service, we don't count it as outdoor seating. It's an outdoor area where people can wait for a table. It's an outdoor area where someone could carry out food and just sit and eat. So we've extended that to other businesses. So just to clarify, there can't be service out there, but if somebody wants to carry something out because there's no room to sit and they sit there and they eat, that's not something we have an issue with.
Okay.
So I don't know that I want to call it a gray area, but when we say that there's no outdoor service, that's sort of where we consider it to not be really outdoor seating. It's seating, it's available for anyone to, whether you're eating or just hanging out, I guess, but there was no food service allowed for Nick and Tony's.
Okay, thank you.
Stacy, just real quick, I wish you the best in your business, and if we had more licenses, I would be more receptive to approving it. I'm sorry that we don't have more.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm just surprised having 3 licenses in a township sitting, not being used, and talking about a project, years out, that you wouldn't want to offer something for someone who's doing business right now in the community is surprising. But I understand, like you said, you have a plan. I respect that. I would love to still talk about different options, like you said. I appreciate, any opportunity, yeah.
One question. In Lake Orion, are you in the DDA area?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're.
Didn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I couldn't
I'm
hear
like
you.
whispering
not in
DDA.
No, she's not. So that was a question. We have the corridor, so.
No, not in that area, but we'll have some discussion.
Okay.
Any other
Now,
comments from the board?
these restaurants in the future, could they go to Lansing and get one? Are they bigger restaurants? I know we don't know names, but could they go to Lansing and get one? Because I'm in totally support, Stacy.
Thank you.
We totally, in my time as a trustee, we've had another local restaurant that was a mom and pop place that didn't get one at first. Their customers petitioned to get one, and we are in the same situation. It's been 15 years approximately, and they did get one after the fact that you guys opened. I'm all about helping mom and pop shops out. I support local businesses, so I'm in favor. I'm glad to see that Supervisor Kowal has some ideas for you, because I'm in favor, even if we don't go down to 2.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Mr. Powell?
I don't know the answer to this, and I'm hoping that somebody else might. If somebody were to walk in next door and purchase a can of beer in the shop there, walk next door and drink it there, is that against the law, or how does that work?
It is against the law. We don't have a BYOB, like a license like that here. And in other states, they do.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking. Ideas here. This is legislative aid for
So
Jim Rudstead's
I want to
office.
just have a little bit more discussion on my end. I don't think Supervisor Kowal intended to, but he did a lot of we intend, then he can't respectfully speak for the board, but, so I do have a question for council. Are we sure that those licenses can be held indefinitely?
Lisa?
For me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can, we're sure on that? Okay. And then please remind me, I have this twirling in my head and I just don't know if we approved or not because it's been some years and there's been some lag on the project, but did we approve a liquor license for Ripples?
Yes,
We did?
which is in the Gateway community.
Oh, okay.
So, any else down here?
Questions?
Okay,
Just a quick
Mr. Roman.
question for our township supervisor. Once a liquor license is given out, there's no guarantee, correct, that that license will stay in White Lake
No,
Township?
there is none.
Is that correct? So
That is
that is
correct.
correct.
That's absolutely
Okay,
correct.
thank you.
So they can take it and move it outside the township?
Technically, they could, yes.
Yeah.
After 3 years, correct? Yeah.
But,
But then
okay,
it takes 10 years to get one. See, that's the problem.
but could they, here's a question for you, could they hang on to that for 3 years? and
I
then
don't know how
transfer it?
long they can operate under it for a certain period of time. I'm not sure if it's 3 years, but I know that
I
they
think
can
it might
operate.
automatically be canceled after 3 years,
I beg your pardon?
if they don't use it. I think it might automatically be
There
canceled
is an
after 3
expiration date.
years.
You can escrow them, but there is a certain amount of time you can escrow them.
So
Right.
Ripples is sitting on theirs.
Can you explain, counsel?
Yes, I can. A license has to be in operation. If it stops being in operation for more than 30 days, you're supposed to notify the Liquor Control Commission. You can be violated if you don't. You then can put a license in escrow, and it can only sit there for 5 years in escrow unless you have good reason to convince the commission to allow it to sit in escrow longer.
Thank you. Okay, like I said, it can go into escrow and it can sit there for a period of time. I'm not sure what some of the intentions are. We'd like to know what some of the intentions are of some of the people in the township ourselves.
But she is correct that the liquor control rules say you cannot transfer a liquor license that you get as a original quota Class C for 3 years.
For first 3 years, right?
Unless you show good cause for that and you convince the Liquor Control Commission.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion.
You might have a possibility.
So,
With Ripple's license or?
I don't know the status of their license. I just know that we've given it to them and they haven't yet used
I'm going
it.
to call for a vote. Okay.
You gotta make the motion.
Pardon?
You have to make the motion.
I'm making the motion right now. I'll make a motion that the application for the liquor license that is being applied for the address, where is the address?
It's gonna be,
9260.
Thank you, 9260 Cooley Lake Road, be denied. Looking for support?
I'll support.
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Roll call vote, Mr. Supervisor?
Sure. Roll call vote.
Trustee Voorhees,
No.
trustee Powell,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
I have to think about it. I want to say yes, because I've heard from residents that wish to have that opportunity at the restaurant. But this time I'll say no, because I believe you have other opportunities.
treasurer Roman.
Motion was to deny the license,
Correct.
correct? I'm going to vote yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I need to correct my vote. So it's to deny, I need to vote.
You need to vote yes to deny.
So I need to vote yes, I need to correct my vote. Sorry, Hannah.
What did I leave off at? Treasurer Roman. I got you two at the end.
Did you get my vote?
Yes. Supervisor Kowal
Yes.
and Clerk Noble, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
I am serious, though.
Please
I would
call
like to
tomorrow.
see you
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do whatever
dawn
it
our
takes.
door,
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely. Yeah,
And
thank you.
very good questions, so come see us,
I will.
okay?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Next item is request to approve a youth agreement. Jeez, I wish I could get a youth agreement. A request to approve an agreement between the White Lake Township and Huron Valley Youth Services. And that seems to be the service that I know the chief is a strong supporter of, is trying to help some of our kids. I know
Absolutely.
Mr. Powell.
Yes.
I know you appreciate this, and this is a contractual, we get, yes, you're grinning and looking at me. And we suffice the needs of our attorney, and this money will benefit kids in the township, and we agree to appropriate the funds for the support of counseling services, prevention of juvenile delinquency and neglect within the township, and for youth involvement, education, and recreational programs to the tune of $7,994.90. Any conversation? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion.
I just like to say what a great, as when I was in police work, that program, what it does is it diverts juveniles, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but from going to juvenile court, causing their parents to miss a day of work for such as a minor offense that normally it would go to the Lake Serious Youth Assistance, and it kind of gives them a second opportunity to redeem themselves. So I think it's a great program, and I think we should continue it.
Very good.
Mr. Supervisor, certainly I'm in support of this, but I'm curious, since it's not part of CDBG program this year.
We didn't have the money.
Which line item would this come out of? General fund?
We're in good shape. We actually have procured it from general before.
Yeah, okay.
And it's gonna be $7,999, correct?
$7,994.90. Mr. Powell?
Mr. Supervisor, I move to approve the agreement between White Lake Township and the Huron Valley Youth Assistance for a compensation or a donation of $7,994.90 to the Huron Valley Youth Assistance Services.
Authorize the supervisor.
Support.
Authorize the supervisor to sign the agreements.
Support.
I have motion, I have support. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much. Moving that right along. Okay, we're gonna talk trash now, okay? Not about anybody in particular, but we're going to talk trash.
Just have a question for our recorder. Hannah, what was the dollar amount in the motion?
$7,994.90.
Okay, good, thanks.
Thank you for checking on that.
Yep.
Well, it's that time of year again. We need to get our trash refuse together. So this will take us for spending those funds, and it will be the resolution confirming the special reassessment role for the special assessment district designated 2021 through 2025 residential refuge collection project. And the reason that we're doing is because obviously we've added addresses and things over the last year, so we have to kind of, reconfirm this, so to speak. So it's 2 million something, for the big chunk of money. Yes. I'm sorry. David? I didn't see you. I actually thought you left.
That's by design.
Okay.
Yeah, this is as you're saying, Supervisor Cole, this is your annual resolution where the assessing office keeps track of parcels that need to be removed from the garbage assessment, which is a charge on the winter tax bill, to residential improved parcels within the township for garbage collection and recycling. And this year, we're removing 9 parcels, mostly due to demolitions, and we're adding, I believe the number is 73 parcels that are new construction and will be added. And when you do this by resolution, modifying the special assessment, it falls below the threshold of a 10% change in parcels, so you can do this by resolution and without a public hearing.
Very good.
And like you said, it's about 2.1, 2.2 million total.
Yeah. Very good. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Roman?
I just want to thank Dave again for leading our assessing department. We work so well with you, and we're so glad to have you all. With that, if I may make a motion?
Please.
To approve Resolution 23-050, confirming the special reassessment role for the SAD designated 2021 through 2025 residential refuse collection project.
I will support that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Trash shall be picked up. Thank you. Item G, request to approve Axon hardware refresh and contract renewal for the police department. As you folks may or may not remember, and it seems like yesterday, but it was 5 years ago, more or less, when the body cam proposal came before this board. And of course, now we've gone through that first contract, and now we need to renew and have some updated equipment and a few other things. And there's some other interesting little tidbits about this that we found out. So, Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. So I am actually excited about these cameras because they have, 5 years ago, we were choosing between WatchGuard and Axon. We absolutely made the right choice to go with Axon. They have gained momentum since those 5 years, and they have actually now are capturing 65 to 70% of the municipalities in the nation. Before then, it was less than 50, and now they're up to 65 because they're not just a camera company, they are a technology company. And it really means that we are getting the best equipment for the citizens of White Lake. So there were certain criteria that I think that we needed as a police department that would best serve the public. And one of those is live streaming. Axon, I can have a computer, dispatch can have a computer where they click a button and they can pull up that officer that has their body camera on. So for instance, if an officer is on a traffic stop or he's in Walmart or Meijer where there's a bad signal for the radio, we'll be able to click on that, on a button, we'll be able to see that officer live streaming through his camera. So it'll pick that camera up, we'll be able to see, just make sure they're all right. Or if he's in dismay or something is happening, we can click on that, and that dispatcher can tell the officers who are responding to a scene of an officer in trouble what's going on. So they know when they get there, they'll have a better idea of what's going on. The second one is we want them, we want integration with Clemis and with the prosecutor's office, so we can easily put evidence from point A to point B. Right now, it's convoluted to get, it's convoluted for other departments who do not have Axon to get the evidence from the Axon, camera system, and to get that from point A to point B. It's convoluted. It takes about an hour to get evidence from the start of collecting the evidence from the camera system to the end of getting it to the prosecutor. This is a one-click system where it's because they are prosecutors involved at evidence.com along with Axon. It's a one-click and it goes. So it saves at least an hour. And the third step is flock integration. As you guys know, you guys were so excited to ask for 2 cameras, and he gave me 6. That's how good flock, the camera system is. Axon is integrated with flock, so the cameras from Axon can see what flock sees. So anything that pops up, as you recall, it's a vehicle identification system where if a stolen vehicle, or if it's a vehicle involved in an armed robbery, or it has specific identifiers that we need to look for a vehicle, the flock system will pick it up and send us a location. Problem with that is we have 6 locations that we use. Now that we'll have in each of our patrol cars, we will have mobile flock systems in all of our cars. No other system besides Axon has the ability to use flock, so that integrates it into the system. There's some upgrades and advancements that they've used. Axon now can be instantly downloaded from the car. Before, we would have to have a signal up on our building. We'd have to park and then wait for it to get downloaded. Every 2 seconds of downloaded time takes a second. So if we needed that evidence or that camera footage right away, it could sometimes take half an hour for us to get that footage where the officer is inside and not back out on the road. I talked about the Respond Plus where we can see the officer, and I talked about the download system. So in the new upgraded system, we will have an infinite amount of storage space. The previous system that we had, we only had a certain amount of storage space, and we actually had to buy more because we ran out. Now we have an infinite amount of storage space, and we won't have to cut cases from 3 months or 2 months to 6 months to a year for drunk driving. We just keep them until we know that we are done with them. So it's a great system. I believe the new cameras that we will get this year, the officers love them. It's a great system, and I would love to have them for another 5 years. And just to let you know, the total cost is $241,000, $301.10. So that would be over a 5-year period that we split up over 5 years. So I put in the budget. Every year budget, we have a $50,000 budget line item for this product. Mr. Powell, I know you have questions.
So, yeah, the technology, obviously, the nice thing.
Welcome back, Mr. Powell.
Nice thing about this technology is that it's constantly updated, and this integration with the flock is extremely important. That has been a very successful tool.
Absolutely.
We'll let you elaborate on that if you want.
Flock has been such a bonus for us through the special operations unit that we have that's integrated into catching retail theft rings, like I said, stolen cars, and a myriad of other things that have helped us keep the city or the township safe.
I have a question. I know we added some more, additional flock cameras. I believe the only one researching is off of Bogey Lake Road. What would that cost be to add the additional cameras? Do we get a deal with that moving forward? Because we have so many cameras, can we get a deal? Because that would seem like to shore our system up.
So the $2,500 a camera deal is done December 15th.
So
why we
my
bought
second question is if I requested you in the board's approval, would we get a deal on that camera tomorrow? Could you contact the vendor?
For Bogey Lake Road?
Yes.
So Bogey Lake Road is the last, when we set the cameras up, we talked about the 3 viable areas. And in looking and in meeting with West Bloomfield and Waterford and Highland, the only area that we are missing is the Bogey Lake Road traffic coming northbound. That's where we don't have a viable camera or two from Flock. So that's the only area in White Lake Township that essentially could get missed because of the flow of traffic. So, yes, I was planning on integrating 2 more cameras. And that would be great if we could do so.
All right. Mr. Powell.
Back when we were presented with the ideas of buying the Flock cameras, there was a concern of myself and maybe some others on the board that we were getting very close to big government and Big Brother being a little bit too personal and using it for law enforcement type projects. And it was assured to us that it was only used to identify cars, number one. And number two, the information was only stored for a month. So it was not FOIable. It would only be used for a month, and attorneys couldn't get it, couldn't be used in court. And so it was, my fears were relieved in that it wasn't something that, and I'm just going to lay it out there, that the FBI could search and find out where somebody might be.
Correct.
There are a couple items here that disturb me in your summary, specifically on page, looks like 135, the first paragraph. And you alluded to it, that the Flock system is not going to be a closed system now. Now it's going to be tied to your body camera, and your cars are going to be considered Flock cameras as well. And the images captured by the Flock system now will have the capability of displaying through the Axon system and ultimately can be saved to the evidence.com platform. So
absolutely.
And so not knowing what that means, I'm just taking it on face value.
Yep.
It appears to me that we need more space. Now it's going to be cloud, so there's no reason to not keep it for years to, so that a governmental agency then can add that to their investigative process. And you actually hear, quote, that we currently share all digital evidence with the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office through the evidence room. So the way this is worded, it all comes back to that slippery slope. And nobody goes in and says, we're doing this so we can catch all those people we don't agree with. But nobody goes that way. But eventually, the government starts going down the road and saying, oh, we've got this process, or we have this, this program that we can expand our knowledge and our ability to keep track of the people better than what they had in the past. And this is now approaching that, at least how it's explained here. I'm very concerned that we're going down that road here in the township a little quicker than what I had anticipated.
So let me clarify, because I understand what you're saying, and I can see how you would read that. So let me clarify a little bit. The only way that evidence.com gets that information is if we input that information. Mm-hmm. So every time a camera, let's say there's an armed robbery at 59 at Bogey, or let's say 59 Tegra at the mobile, and that Flock camera picks up that vehicle in question. We don't know, we don't have enough information. We got a little bit of information from the vehicle. Let's say it's a sticker or whatever on that vehicle that's identifiable. We plug in that sticker to the Flock camera system. That Flock camera system is going to pick up and take a picture of that car with that matches that sticker. And that's going to show, and hopefully it shows the plate on that vehicle. We run that plate through Lean, and then we get the information of the driver. That picture is now evidence, but we capture that evidence through Flock. Flock doesn't just release all the evidence to evidence.com. We input that information into evidence.com. Flock and evidence.com are two totally separate sites. They have no way to integrate to one another. The only way that they integrate is if we go to Flock, we take that picture, we pick it up, we move it over to evidence.com, and we say, here is the evidence of that picture. Those two don't know how to talk to each other. They don't know how to integrate. They don't have that capability. The only capability they have is us as police officers take that information as evidence, move it over to evidence.com, and then we ship it to the prosecutor.
Okay, and that being said, I appreciate that. Certainly that camera, besides getting the little emblem on the side of a car or a license plate, is going to pick up a picture of a person. And bless your heart, and I know your heart, Chief, but the next chief or someone else in your department says, okay, we now have a reason to store this, we have unlimited storage, we're just gonna go ahead and store it, and then in the presentation by Flock, not only in this community, but other communities, it was totally represented that other communities have the ability to see what our Flock cameras do, and they can go nationwide, and you can get in and see what our Flock camera saw. So to add even more, I'm gonna say intrusion into privacy, now other communities and other agencies can get in and, at least that's what was represented to us, can see what our Flock cameras saw. And so I'm concerned about where I see this going.
So the Axon cameras are only cameras. They do nothing else but see things. They don't download information for Flock. It's a pass-through. So their cameras, it would be just like putting another Flock camera up. Instead of having 6 cameras, we would have 11 stationary cameras. It's that way. It's not the intrusion of having an extra camera that belongs to Axon. Axon has no way to obtain that information because Flock doesn't allow them to, nor do we. It's not about me as being chief. It's about the integrity of the Flock system, because if there's no integrity in the Flock system, the system falls flat because of your reasoning, which I totally agree with. I understand what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying, but there's stop gaps and stop measures in the Flock program itself that doesn't allow that to happen. There would have to be a total integration of Flock to other programs to allow that to happen. And I know that there would be police departments that wouldn't agree with it, and it would sink. It's the integrity of the program that makes Flock so successful. It's great that it's a camera system and it shows everything that we want it to show, but if it opens itself up, it's no longer a great system. It's just Big Brother.
Can I pause for 1 second? I just want to be clear on that explanation of Mr. Powell's question. So I just want to know if I'm understanding you correctly. The Flock cam, your body cam works like a image and a voice recorder. So when you want it to act like a Flock cam, as a body cam through the Flock system, there's no voice, there's no recording, but there's an image, and that image can be captured only if the data has been put into what you're looking for, like a sticker.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Or if it's put in by NCIC, which is like if it's a stolen vehicle or if that vehicle's wanted for a felony.
Yeah.
For those high-risk type of informations, unless it's the police department that puts in specific information for a car that we want to find, then we put that information in.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I understood them before we continued. Thank you.
I guess my concern is the way we're reading, and I apologize for reading into this, but for a certain division of our government to be able to find somebody walking on the street in Washington DC on a particular day, they didn't ever anticipate doing that with what they used. And my concern is nobody ever anticipates the end result of where we might go. That's my concern.
I understand that, Mike, but you are already participating in that.
And you know what? My picture is on the camera right now.
No.
Right here.
You have a cell phone.
No,
They can track you within a meter of where you are.
absolutely can, and I understand that. But I don't have TikTok on my phone, so
It doesn't matter.
Me either.
Right.
So the realities of it is that it is a tool in the box. The best we can hope for is it continues to have the success it has had nationally. It also protects our officers when they may be, accused of something as far as the body cameras that go. And the Flock has been successful. I read a lot of different cases where they were able to recover kidnapped victims. The list just goes on and on and on. So unfortunately, we're getting smarter, the bad guys are getting smarter, okay? So we have to stay one step ahead of them. And we have this, and people that don't do anything, I believe, don't have anything to worry about, okay? And I respect your opinion and your thought process, but this right here, within 3 feet, a small, smart drone can take you out because they're just homing on your phone, so.
So give me an explanation of why the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office would ever be, anything would be available to him.
It's only available to them from the police department. So they can't come in and access our cameras, they can't come in and access anything. We have to upload it to the system, and then they have to download it from the system.
So they can't get a court order coming in here and saying, we're gonna take your data.
Well, I don't know if they could get a court order for that. I would say no, that they could not get a court order, because there would have to be a valid reason to get the court order. And, I mean, they could, even if we have cameras that don't hook up to the Flock system or to any other system, if they felt like they needed to get a court order and a judge allows it, we'd have to abide by the court order. But it's not, there'd have to be a specific and valid reason why they would do that. And I couldn't think of one. And I want to go back, this is a vehicle identification system. It's not, it doesn't
Facial
identify,
recognition.
it doesn't identify people. It's not that capability. It identifies specific things like a license plate or stickers or something, or a dent in a car. That's what it identifies. It has nothing to do with facial recognition.
Yet. The intent is absolutely good, and I'm a full supporter of the police department, and I'm just concerned about this technology.
I don't disagree with you.
All right, any other questions or comments I'd like to?
No, other than I'll just make it known, Chief Keller knows he's speaking to a Republican board, so it makes our hair stand up a little bit when we hear things like this. But to me, I did ask my questions. I felt pretty thorough, and I thought the Flock presentation was really thorough. And I got my, big brother questions out there. I've had a ton of questions from the residents since then, since they've now kind of are 6 months later discovering that these cameras are up. They aren't real noticeable unless you kind of look for them. So, I thought the Flock presentation was pretty good.
I did too.
Okay. So, I think Chief Colliers done a good job of answering our questions tonight. So I'm okay with it.
And I want everybody to know that we have these cameras. I really, especially the bad guys.
Yeah, I mean, public safety has to
Absolutely.
be ultimate here. And that's what is gonna drive me in my vote on this, is public safety over whether I think, a camera can be potentially accessed in the future or not, because, like Rick said, that can happen anytime, a hacker. And when you go out into the public, you kind of lose all expectation of privacy. We're on camera everywhere we go, so.
Yes, Counselor.
Chief, the quote, looks like it's a quote, but embedded in here, it says that if you accept this quote, you're agreeing to their terms and conditions of their master service agreement. I know that my firm has been successful in negotiating some of those terms for other communities. So I'm hopeful that you're okay with if it's going to be approved, that it be approved subject to review and approval of those contracts by my office, so we can at least get what we've gotten for other communities.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Can I just have a look, like, what are you kind of talking about, Lisa? Like, what kind of conditions?
Oh, it's basically a 40-page contract.
Yeah, we won't get into it now, so.
A contract about what, though, specific? I mean, can you give a little bit of an idea what it is?
Well, confidentiality.
Because we're gonna approve this not knowing what changes you're gonna make.
Well, I mean, it requires confidentiality, which we can't do because we're FOIA. It doesn't allow us to terminate for any reason other than if there's no funding for it.
Okay.
It talks about, those are some of the changes that we've sought and received for other communities. But I mean, it's a significant legal document that we will, jurisdiction and venue, we'll want jurisdiction and venue to be in the state of Michigan. So just terms like that.
Okay.
You're not talking about the IT contract later. This is the camera purchase.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
talking
it's
about
actually,
The body cam.
it's actually
Oh, the
in,
equipment
there's a
itself.
link in it. In the quote, there's a link that says, if you accept this quote, you're accepting all of our terms and conditions.
Okay,
It's a little sneaky.
yeah.
And you want to modify some of those terms and conditions?
I do. So just, if you're going to approve it, I would just ask, subject to review and approval by the attorney, and I'll just at least get,
work through those.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Chief has no objection to
Nope,
that.
absolutely not.
I think it's good business. Mr. Roman.
I'd like to make a motion to approve up to $242,000 for the Axon Hardware contract renewal, and that's for both body and fleet needs.
Very good. I have a motion. I will support that motion. All in favor?
Can we have a roll call, please?
Let me amend my motion.
Please, go ahead.
Just to make it subject to legal review.
And I'll amend my support. Roll call vote?
Mr. Powell, Trustee Powell, did you have something? I saw you raise your hand.
No, he said roll call.
Yes,
Roll
sir.
call vote.
Okay. Trustee Powell.
Before I vote, I just hope this board doesn't regret what this board votes, but my vote is going to be yes for the proper use of this hardware and software.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
I'm going to vote yes with comment too, that we want it to be known that this board's intentions are that this equipment is solely used for what we discussed tonight and what you've presented to the board.
Absolutely.
Clerk Noble, I'm going to vote yes with keep up the good work. I love the fact that we're going to hopefully shore up that loophole. All the other communities are using it, and our success rate has been great with it so far. So I think, and you keep us the 15th safest city.
Yeah.
So,
I will try.
and Supervisor Kowal.
I vote yes with comment, and comment is keep up the good work, chief. Don't worry about it. Big brother isn't knocking on our door. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Next order of
I'm not
business.
sure.
Just
Mike
a
Roman voted,
comment.
didn't he?
Yes.
Our township clerk brought up the idea of buying another, was it flock camera?
There's two of them. I will work with the chief. That can be done internally. The dollar amount is.
Okay, great.
we'll
Chief, you
make
can get
sure
right
we
on
the
that and
best.
get that discount,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because we're prudent savers of the taxpayers' money.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Item H, first reading amendment to the fee ordinance, ordinance number 129. Mr. Noble, you're the graveyard guy.
So before you is going to be a fee schedule. So the board knows that through 2024, the fee schedules, well, this will be the first reading, and as you see before you, there'll be some changes. You know, with the inflation that's going on, I guess, in the cemetery business, there's some cost adjustments. I'd like to make a note that on line E, during the second reading, we'll amend that 700 to say additional 700 for more than one cremation burial. Because if you notice on A, weekday cremations are 50, that's an additional 150 is my understanding.
So you want the additional that's stricken to be back?
Yeah, we're gonna shore that up. It was brought up by Trustee Powell usually would find that, but it was Treasurer Roman that
I was
picked
going
that
to
out
ask
today.
you about that.
So
Yeah,
Treasurer Roman beat you to it, and I'm
Yeah.
glad he did. So it was a good catch. We were going off the Saxton's contract, so thank you, Treasurer Roman.
Sure.
Okay.
So along that line, can I ask a question? $700 for more than one cremation burial. There's really more than twice as much work to do two cremation burials as one. So the first one is $550. But if you have two people die in your family and you're going to cremate, now the second one is $700 instead of $550. I don't understand. I don't
700
understand.
total.
That's total.
That's total.
Okay.
So if you had two, it would be 700.
Oh, thank you.
$350 each.
Thank you. So
It needs to be cleared up.
thank you.
And statistically, that's a good question, because I thought about that, because it could be a car accident involving two
Right.
people.
Right.
So that is a
Okay.
good question.
Thank you very much
Thank you.
for,
That's
addressing
how
that.
we'll get that cleaned up.
yeah.
So that'll be in the second reading. I just wanted to point that out, that we're gonna additional.
Okay, I thought it was an additional 150 on top
No.
of the other one.
No, it would be
Okay.
the 550 plus the 150.
So an additional 150 for each additional one kind of is.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
I think you can go up to 6
Okay,
Per lot.
that works.
per lot, so.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Is that same question we
Yep.
had, Mike? So.
So I have a question. So I have a relative, second cousin, that the mom died and they put their daughter's remains, so there's a casket and a urn all in the same spot. How does that affect
It doesn't.
even with,
It's the
even
contents of
with
a
two,
casket.
even with the tombstone? There's two
Tombstone's
tombstones.
just a name. If you go around around the cemetery, as you well do, there are some of those monuments in there that literally have a story.
Oh,
about
absolutely.
Somebody,
Okay.
so
No, just-
that's the same kind of thing. Script is script.
Okay, no, you're
We
good.
don't,
I just
we
wanted
don't
to-
charge, we're not like the Oakland Press. We don't charge by the letter on a tombstone.
Well, because like when mom, because the daughter went first, and then the mom went second, and so they left the urn when mom went.
Yeah.
Okay, that's on, just
Okay.
food for thought.
Any other questions? I'd like to move this along. I'd like to make a motion to move this to second reading with noted corrections.
Support.
Motion and support, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Resolution 23-054. David? This is a reaffirming the rationale behind the Township Board approval to extend a part of the commercial rehabilitation exemption certificate at Four Corners Square LLD. Should be LLC. Certificate number C2016-015A. David?
Yes, this is I'll try to make this long story short. The owner from Four Corners applied for an extension of 3 years for their PA 210 tax abatement on the apartments on Waddy Road. This board considered that request a number of meetings ago, and that request was modified to 2 years of an abatement. And then again, subsequent to that, there was another meeting that another resolution passed to approve the 2 years, subject to certain criteria being met at the property by the property owner, some of the repairs that were listed. The property owner made the appropriate repairs, and we put the resolution to the state for their approval. The state originally rejected the application. We supplied them, we being the township staff, myself and other staff, with the rationale that the board considered in your minutes. And I sent some other documents and aerial photographs of showing when the building was actually there and when it wasn't, and the inspection reports from the building department, just proving that the taxpayer didn't get the number of years of the abatement that was originally agreed on. They didn't receive the 7 years. The response from the state through telephone calls and conversations is that they feel that they can recommend the approval of the 2-year extension for this property if the reasons are outlined in your resolution. So they're looking for this board to memorialize the reasons why we're granting this extension. So I worked with Lisa, and she put together the resolution. The COVID-19 required shutdowns from construction, the extensive cleanup that was longer than expected, and the groundwater contamination. So this is here for your review and approval.
Yeah, we had extensive conversation regarding that matter when it was passed. So this will reaffirm that conversation in writing in the resolution. That's my understanding what Treasury is looking for.
Correct.
Yeah. So any questions, comments from the board? This is, as it was put to me, it's a housekeeping matter.
Of course it is.
So I'll be voting no because I voted no in the original.
I will remind you voted yes last
I
time.
voted yes on the cleanup of the.
No, you voted
resolution.
yes on the
Well,
tax
I'm still gonna
abatement.
vote no. I don't find this to be rational. I don't think that these are reasons to give him a tax abatement.
But
So I'm gonna vote no.
the second part of
I understand,
voting.
I'm
You
going
voted
to.
yes. For that,
But
just
what I
please.
voted yes on
I
was to
understand that.
clarify what we, at the time, because we didn't have it in front of us, the punch list. So we clarified the punch list of what we were requesting him to finish.
But by voting, having him do that, you were giving him
I'm
yes
not
vote.
beholden to vote yes tonight. I'm going to vote no.
It's fine. Okay, any other questions from the board? Comment? I make a motion to approve Resolution 23-054 as drafted by our council and reviewed by our assessor. Looking for support?
Support.
I have motion, I have support. Roll call vote.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Trustee Powell,
Yes.
Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Supervisor Colwell.
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Trustee Smith.
No.
Very good. Motion carries. Next item is request to approve distribution. Thank you, David. A request to approve distribution of 2024 master plan for 63-day public review. Mr. O'Neill.
You sure you don't want Dave to handle this one? He's doing a real nice job. Dave, why don't you?
Well, I thought
No, I
he
really-
left. You know, he sits in that strategic, now he's leaving.
I know, and I really,
He's out of here.
Night, David.
yeah, I'd really love for him to sit up here with us. mean,
I
don't you
agree.
feel- Yeah, anyway, we'll work on it
second
for
that.
next time. Okay.
Work on that.
So tonight before you is really a pretty simple and straightforward request. In the master plan update process, it is required by law that the township board authorize, upon recommendation of the planning commission, authorize the, release or publication of our draft master plan. So, as you can see in the memo from our office dated November 1st, October 19th, the planning commission made a recommendation to the board that this plan be distributed, and the 63-day review period could then begin, which would take us through, I believe, January 24th. Next step in the process after that would be for the planning commission to hold the required public hearing, which would likely be on February 1st or February 15th potentially, before the township board would take the final action on the plan, which could happen as early as your February 20th meeting. I believe you're meeting on February 20th. Between now and then, the planning commission is holding a workshop. An open house on December 7th. We held a workshop on August 17th and had quite a good number of attendance, which was excellent. I mean, I think there were probably 100 people there giving input, which is far beyond what we had hoped. And, it was very positive. And we received 1,300 or 1,400 respondents to the survey that we did back in February and March of this year. So we've probably had more public input in this master plan, exponentially more public input than we ever have. And that's, certainly thanks to, social media and really the sharing of information. So really, again, tonight is just a straightforward request to ask you to, after taking a look at the master plan, to allow staff to distribute the plan as is required by law in the process. If you have any questions about that process, I'd be happy to answer them.
I finally found a good book to put me to bed at night.
What's the title of that book?
Master Plan.
Yeah.
You may not be the only one.
Yeah, no, I know. There's a lot of things in there. It's a lot of information. I'd like to comment on your department and you and Justin, guys working diligently to put this thing together. Again, to the public, this document is very important for us to have because A, it is a plan. B, many of the grants that I've gone after and pursued with Sean, that's one of the first questions. Do you have a master plan? And if there isn't a resounding yes, they don't even look at it. So they want to make sure that we have these types of plan in place so that we are planning for the future of the township and that we are, prudent with what we're doing.
And plan this township has. I mean, we've recently adopted a Parks and Recreation master plan. We're coming down the home stretch on our land use master plan. Next week, Tuesday, as was mentioned by a resident tonight, you'll be taking a look at the tax increment financing plan for the Corridor Improvement Authority, which is a new endeavor. We've done the planning of the Elizabeth Lake Road reconstruction. This is like a dream to be involved in all of this at one time. I mean, there are many communities that haven't done all of these things at any point in time in their existence, and we're doing them all at the same time. I had more hair and less of it was gray when it began, but I'll also piggyback on what you said, Mr. Supervisor. There are a lot of people involved in this. I'd like to thank, the Planning Commission, the staff, Beckett and Rader, who have been of great assistance through this master planning process, and Justin. He's like the editor-in-chief, that guy. It's hard to get a grammatical error past him in the office. So he's spent a great deal of time on this plan, and I do appreciate all of his efforts as well. And of course, Hannah has to sit through all of the meetings for all the boards and commissions, typing away feverishly. So we certainly appreciate her involvement. And, we're got a couple months to go on this, but we're really starting to kind of come down the home stretch. So.
Okay, any questions, comments, Mr. Powell?
I had an opportunity to talk to Director O'Neill because hopefully I'm not unlike everyone else. I don't like necessarily read everything from beginning to end. So I was hoping that there'd be a red mark copy that I could have and I could see the changes from the previous ones. And he told me this one is almost a start over. So really, there's no way to pick your way through it and compare it to the other ones. So I've got my work cut out for me for the next month as well. But besides the accolades for the planning staff, I wanted to remind this board and the public out there that a master plan is just that. It's just a guideline for the vision of what this board has for the development and the future improvements of White Lake Township, much like the asset management plan and all the other plans that we're doing. So although it's a guideline and this board takes into account what this guideline says, it doesn't tie our hands to not do things differently than what this plan calls for. So anyone out there that wants to maybe make modifications to their property or rezone their property, this doesn't prevent that. It just gives the township board guidelines as to how we want the township to grow.
What we want to look like in the future.
Correct.
I want to thank Mr. Powell because those were almost my comments as well. So thank you for your explanation. I wanted to put that on the record this evening that it's a planning tool and it's a guide. Nothing is set in stone. It's an important tool that we use often and do seek out grant money. So, we wouldn't be able to seek those things out unless we were so well prepared. And we have and will give the public opportunity to weigh in on this, so. And we do listen to you.
Very good. Okay, any questions or comments, Mr. Roman?
Just want to compliment Mr. O'Neill, Hannah, Justin, got a great team. Thanks for all the hard work on this and also all the work that you guys are doing on the new township campus. Super job.
Since I'm probably the oldest one up here, I want to just backtrack a little bit. There was a time when we would not have a planning staff to do any of this. We would put it out and we'd hire it all done. And Sean O'Neill and the planning department have come a long way in reducing our costs and quite frankly, giving us even a better document than we used to have from consulting.
Content's better at the end.
Correct.
Absolutely.
I'd like to thank Sean and his staff. We're out of red pens in the clerk's office, so we'll be ordering some. So.
Yeah, and I want to stress the staff part. I mean, there's a great team, but, I get to sit here and talk about this stuff, but I am just a small part of what really goes on over there, and I appreciate all of you guys acknowledging that because there are a lot of people rowing in the same direction, and not just in our department, in all departments, so.
Everybody trying to keep us moving forward.
And really quickly, you mentioned what the community would look like. At these vision sessions, there was some public feedback on our three focus areas. What you see on the screen, this just came in today and will be updated in the master plan that is going to be published tomorrow. This is the peninsula at the gateway, and the feedback we received is we want this to be kind of a destination, obviously, for those on the lake and maybe those who come off the lake and want to use the lake recreationally. But there was a push away from so much residential and more toward restaurants. And you guys talked about restaurants in that area a little earlier, and shops and just kind of more non-residential, though there is a residential component to this opportunities. And so we challenged kind of the planning commission to give some feedback as well as the public on what this might look like. And, you know, like we did in our last master plan, we kind of showed kind of pictorially a concept that might really bring to life some of the ideas and some of the possibilities. And this is the first of the three. They're all pretty forward-thinking. They're all pretty aggressive. You know, it's easy to spend other people's money. This probably would cost nothing more than $30 or $40 million, what you're looking at here. But this is kind of really tipping our hand to say, look, we want to create a destination in some of these focal areas. We want to really bring, you know, restaurants and recreation and you know, a variety of uses to this area. So these will all be added to the plan that goes out tomorrow, but they were not in the packet because they were just now available. The Civic Center area. This is basically, as you look at it, M59 here, here's Elizabeth Lake Road, and the artist actually had some of the rough renderings. And if you zoom in on this, you can even see the conceptual roof peaks over the front door. This is the Township Hall Public Safety Building. Here's the library where it sits currently. And so, and you can even see the park and the lake down here and some of the future pathways. So this is, you know, again, creating a gathering place in the middle of a commercial area on this corner. Again, nothing that, I don't know of a place in Michigan that has something quite exactly like this. So it's pretty aggressive, but again, we're just kind of showing the kinds of uses that could potentially exist here. And then finally, the Planning Commission keyed on the Cedar Island and Bogey Lake area as an area they wanted to really focus on. And there was a lot of feedback that said, we need places to eat, places to shop, kind of down the Bogey Lake corridor. We don't want to have to drive all the way up to M59 to go somewhere to get, you know, get our things. So, but there's also a push for open space. The good thing is for everyone who lives here, there's about a third of this township that can never be developed because it's a park, a wetland, a stream, a lake. So you'll always have open space, far more than most of your neighboring communities in the county would have or in southeast Michigan. So you see Cedar Island Road here, you see Bogey Lake Road here. There was talk about pushing some non-residential, commercial up toward Bogey Lake Road, having some lower density single-family residential in behind on the northwest side, and then having some recreation, parking that would be, you know, supporting that recreation, kind of integrated here. Pickleball courts, that's all the rage. So, you know, an amphitheater, again, these are just ideas coming to life. So these will all be added to the master plan. I just want to share them with you tonight. It's the first time we've had them available. But yeah, that'll go out with the full plan to all the required entities that are supposed to receive this document.
Okay.
And to the public.
I'd like to make a motion.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion to, I'm sorry, approve distribution of 2024 master plan for the 63-day public review.
Support. We have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, next item, K, Resolution 23044 to establish meeting dates of the White Lake Township Board of Trustees for calendar year 2024. Mr. Roman.
I just wanted to point out to everyone that we changed the time and brought it a half hour earlier to 6:30 for next year's meetings.
I didn't catch that.
I like the idea. I even thought about 6 o'clock, but you know, as I came here today, around 6, there was so much rush hour traffic
Yeah.
still on the roads that I think 6 might be pushing it. So I think the 6:30 is good, and I will put that in the form of a motion to approve this as is.
Mr.
I'd just like to ask a quick question. Would it be acceptable? We've polled the boards and commissions that are department staffs, and there are several.
That was going to be my suggestion.
Okay. I'll let you.
So the new standard time will.
So I was under-
Will be 6:30 then?
6:30.
That's what I was going to ask. If we would just standardize them all so there was no confusion, and we're good with that.
Well, I know because we had some conversation and some of the folks would like to have them. They had requested that they be earlier. So,
Yeah, some at the planning commission in particular said, and I think even a few at the ZBA said, hey, we're good with 6, but we're trying to take it easy. We know that people have, that's a significant change. And we also want to make sure the public has good access to the meetings. And so, you know, if in the future we go to 6, fine, but for now, I think our boards and commissions are all comfortable with 6:30 almost across the board.
Lyon Township just changed theirs too. didn't
Lion is at 6 o'clock for all their boards and commissions.
I mean,
I knew they changed it, I couldn't remember exactly.
I'd like to parlay Treasurer Roman's comments to take the consideration of certain board members have a long ways to go. So I think 6, as I was coming in, especially for trustee Voorhees, comes from West Winfield there. That's a lot of
crazy.
traffic, and I would like
6:30
to
is
keep it at 6:30
Much better.
myself.
And I don't want to speak for trustee Ruggles, he's not here, but when this came up at the planning commission, he was not an advocate for 6 o'clock. I think he would, again, I don't want to speak with him, I think he would prefer 6:30 over 6 o'clock based on the comments he gave at that planning commission meeting.
So I'd like to make a motion. Do you have-
Already made.
Well, there was already a
no,
Want
motion.
me to
I-
retract my motion, Anthony?
No.
I will
I
retract my
just
motion.
want to be clear really
and
quick. Wait, before you make a motion,
refer
because
to-
you were,
Wait, one second.
Clerk Noble.
Rick, I just want to be clear. So when I asked Deputy Pergamon about this, I thought if we did the board, it trickled down to the other boards, but you want to modify the motion so the boards can make their own, the commissions can make their own decisions?
No, I'm just requesting that you just decide for them. I don't think we should
Oh, you do
decide. I
want
think
us
the
to
board
decide.
should decide when all of your committees and commissions and, groups meet. And if you're, I would like you to direct me to go with
6:30.
6:30.
So I would like to, can I make the motion?
You can make the
Okay,
motion.
make a motion. You okay with it?
Yeah, so this
Okay.
motion goes for
Okay.
everybody.
I'd like to make the motion for resolution number 23-044, that the dates of the meeting for calendar year 2024 will reflect a time of 6:30, January 16th, 2024, February 20th, 2024, March 19th, April 16th, May 21st, June 18th, July 16th, August 20th, September 17th, October 15th, November 19th, and December 17th of 2024. Additionally, I would like that motion to include that all boards within the township meet at that specific time of 6:30.
As well as committees.
As well as committees.
Commissions.
I'm sorry,
Commissions and all
not to add
boards.
confusion, but the Corridor Improvement Authority, which is a sort of a business board, meets at 5 PM. I would like them to be able to continue to meet at 5
With
PM.
exempt from the Corridor Improvement
Okay,
Authority.
thank
Thank you.
I'll support.
Motion.
Under discussion, we did not check with the earlies. Can they get here at that time? They can, so thumbs up.
We got a thumbs
So
up.
thank you.
We need our audience.
Point.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None opposed. Moving on. Resolution 2305, to approve a service agreement between the County of Oakland and the Township of White Lake.
Oh, boy.
Well, it's kind of like, you just may as well say yes, because there's no
A document like
negotiation.
that could only be written by attorneys. That's the only way. Nobody else in their right mind would
And
do
not
it.
our attorney.
Not
Not
ours.
our attorney, yes.
Even our attorney just kind of rolls their eyes.
So when you look at this document, you'll see that we have services such as lien, police services also that we're kind of
Well, it's
attached.
all count.
Yeah, it's all attached.
It's online payments, over-the-counter payments, local tax payments, jury management system, collaborative asset management system, remedial support services, data center use and services, Oaknet connectivity, internet services, and Clemis services are the ones that are available. And out of those, we will doing online, over-the-counter payments, pay local taxes, Oaknet connectivity, and Clemis.
So I'd like any comments, any
Comments, questions?
Questions?
Oh, excuse me.
Supervisor, I know that everyone read every last word on this, but there's a section in here that's absolutely unacceptable to the township, and I'm kidding. There's no way in the world I would catch anything like that.
It's good.
I do have a question, though, and maybe it's for our attorney, maybe it's for you, Mr. Supervisor. The section that follows most of this, whatever it is.
Jargon?
Jargon, has the requirement for professional liability insurance and cyber liability insurance that puts the burden on the township. When we're receiving the service from the county, do we have the liability insurance
We
that
do.
they specifically are
We
asking
have
for?
insurances for internet services.
Okay, and professional liability at the $1 million rate that they're asking
That
for?
I would have to show evidence to them if they want to see it, and I'll let our insurance carrier take care
I
of
would-
it.
I would
I'm
al-
sure we're covered.
I would almost want them to provide us insurance because they're providing the service.
Well, that's not how
I
it
know
works.
that's not gonna happen. I know that.
Good luck. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Counsel.
I just want to point out that the resolution does specifically authorize the supervisor to execute the agreement, but also for the police chief to complete the form regarding Clemis, which is addendum A to Exhibit X. Just wanted to highlight that so that everyone was clear that the resolution authorizes both of you to do those things.
The other duties for each of us.
Wow.
So,
So I'd like to, any further discussion?
go ahead.
Yeah, make a motion.
I'd like a motion to approve Resolution 23-051 to approve it as service agreement between the County of Oakland and the Township of White Lake.
I will support that.
Could we make sure that the recording secretary calls that as IT and not it?
IT,
Yeah.
IT.
because
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, service. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, we have motion or support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, FYI, 9885 Cedar Island Road update. What's going on, Counselor?
So we had our, as I said at the last meeting, I filed a motion for summary disposition. They responded, oral argument was on November 1st. The judge granted all the relief the township requested, specifically to declare the property a nuisance, to order that the defendant clean up the property, bring it into full compliance with township ordinance at his sole cost and expense within 90 days of entry of an order. And if the defendant does not complete all the cleanup, the township or an agent may enter onto the property after the 90-day period, clean up the property, charge the cost of the expenses to the defendant, and if he doesn't pay it, then can place a lien on the property to be reimbursed the costs that the township incurred. This order was supposed to be signed by myself and the attorney for the defendant, but of course, the attorney for the defendant did not voluntarily sign the order, even though the judge specifically articulated his ruling. So I had to submit an order under what we call the 7-day rule, which is you submit the order to the court and you notify the attorney for the other side that if you don't object to this order within 7 days, we're going to ask the judge to sign it. We submitted that order. She didn't object. Hasn't been signed by the judge yet, so I'm just following up to get that order. Once we have it in our hand is when the 90 days starts to tick. This is an example.
Nothing's easy.
This is an example of how this case has gone.
Yeah.
Nothing's easy. Thank you for the update. Mr. Roman, I'm going to let you start out with the Civic Center Committee update.
It looks like our planning is kind of beyond the first stage. What is the exact terminology, Mr. O'Neill?
Schematic
Past the
design?
Schematic
Schematic
So we're into design development.
development now.
Yes.
So we've got our floor plan pretty much laid out. I know there were some recent tweaks where our architect came back and wanted to put, I think, was it some of the mechanical on the main floor near where the
Yeah, my
supervisor's
office,
office.
a bunch of it.
Rick's
And
got
we
a
support
cubicle
that.
out
We
in the lobby
support
now.
putting the
Yeah,
mechanical
I got a
next to the
closet now for an office. Next to the Porta-John.
Yeah. And also, I think we added a restroom on the main floor, which I think was also a good call.
No, you had to have one in a general office
Yeah,
area.
right, we didn't have one there before.
No, it needed one.
As far as the exterior, I know we're coming along. We still have to present to the board brick, stone, kind of the colors. As far as the interiors, I think our furniture committee is actually, they have some visitations scheduled now.
December 7th, I believe.
So that is moving forward. God, the only other thing I'd like to say, I am thrilled is that the bond market is starting, the 10-year interest rates are starting to come back down. And that's really good news for the township. So I know Mr. Powell's probably got more to add to it. So I'll turn it over to.
Well, Mr. Powell and I took a little road trip.
Yes.
Pardon the pun. I
Yes,
said,
that's
didn't even know
exactly
it. And we went down and we saw the powers to be at Oakland County. I want to remind everyone that we started this Elizabeth Lake rebuild project pre-COVID. okay? And then, it was still there, it was rumbling around, they knew it was going on. Then it moved forward, and it was June of '22 that we sat down in the bunker, and I call it the bunker, down in Franklin?
Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, thank you. And hammered out a lot of stuff. And they have just been a very interesting group to work with. And so I had no update for anyone for the longest period of time. They finally sent me something after supposedly the last revision of many revisions. Revision on top of revision came back, and I said, well, I'm gonna go down and see some people, and Mike was back in town, so I wanted him to come with me. We went down there and we had a good conversation. It proved, we did an actual page turn.
Right.
On the project, which was extremely important. Went through all the comments, different items that were out there. There was some indigestion on a taper because it's not designed in their mind for a certain speed, but we're hoping to have a lower speed there eventually, but we're going to make some revisions on a taper. And the other was, there was some geometry close to the core of the roundabouts that was causing some indigestion for multiple engineers because of the trajectory of coming in and out and cars potentially backing up out of a parking space of that sort. So we kind of came up with a solution. The first solution was, let's market subcompact cars. And their engineer was going, yeah, I could buy into that, but these two other engineers were twitching in their seats. And then that's when I said, you know what, let's make that designated motorcycle parking. More and more people in the state of Michigan ride motorcycles, and they loved it. They thought it was a great idea, and they just said, that's perfect, because it puts them in a spot where they're going to have a better line of sight for vehicles going through the intersection. And more people ride today, and we'll have some cement pavement in those little areas to help keep the kickstands from absorbing themselves into the asphalt. And it will define that area, and also in the wintertime, it'll kind of act as a little bit of a snow stack area too. But I think overall, it was a very successful meeting, and we anticipate having our permit relatively soon, because we would like to put the road out for bid end of December, beginning of January. Mike, what else?
And I thank Mr. Supervisor Rick for inviting me to go. It's always good to see my colleagues in different departments. And I believe we're well underway now to be able to, I think we actually received a go-ahead to go out for bids as soon as we make our changes, so that we can in fact bid it in the best time of the year to get the best rates from the contractors out there. I also wanted to point out that although I was out of town, I still kept track of the process and the progress. And I wanted to point out that I'm really thrilled with the look of the building. You guys, this board and the committee did a great job pulling those elevations together. And I wanted to point out specifically to Trustee Smith down there that through our suggestion, if you take a look at the windows to the back of the township board, they have raised those windows up above eye height to anybody standing on the grass area there. What the concern was, while we're conducting business, to have windows behind us that people could be peering in, just gave some of us some concern as to what might be happening behind us. So now that won't happen, and it's just going to be a light coming in and not subject to people peering in behind us. So I'm thrilled with the process, and I can't wait to continue it.
Yeah,
I'm so glad too, and I kept sending that request to Director O'Neill until it made its way through. Because safety of the boardroom is important, so.
Yeah.
We're moving in the right direction. Okay, moving on to trustee comments, but before we do that, ho, ho, ho. Okay, so that's to remind everybody of two things. A, the tree lighting is on the 2nd, okay, and December 1st is what?
Can the halls.
Can the halls. Can the halls, what does that mean? Non-perishable goods, bring them into the township. We want to, this will be our 3rd or 4th year, and we want to take a great big pile. Last year, we loaded a large cargo van twice over and distributed it to local food banks in our area that need your support. So that's extremely important. I am going to now switch over to Andrew Voorhees, trustee, for your
Sorry.
comments.
Sorry. I am not able to attend the coat drive that the fire department is having
Six to
on
eight.
the 2nd of December, which forced me to go into the fire department and deliver my coats. While I was in there, I saw this really cool thin red line flag that was painted on the wall of the fire department. Captain Crean painted this really cool flag on the wall. So if anyone has the opportunity to go into the fire department and see the painting by Captain Crean, it's fabulous. Shout outs to Kathy DeRocher, our HR person, who has, relatively speaking, since February, March, has been very instrumental in all the human resources of salaries for White Lake Township. She's diligently been working with our labor attorney, and hopefully we're close to being done for the year of 22-24 in salaries. Reminding everyone in White Lake to shop local. That's what keeps our local businesses going, whether they be Home Depot or the new restaurant in White Lake that we talked with tonight, and I'm drawing a blank, the burger place.
The filling station. I think.
Filling station, thank you. And I'm just gonna take off of Supervisor Kowal's comments. Tree lighting December 1st, 6 to 8 at the Fisk Farm Fall Festival. Hope to see everyone there. Thank you.
Mr. Powell.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, and I apologize for if this gets too long, but
You got 3 minutes.
yeah, I've never read that yet, but that being said, all of you know that I just got back from a supposed Holy Land cruise and tour. And for some strange reason, Royal Caribbean refused to take us to Jerusalem and to Israel. Not that we suffered, because we were on a cruise and we went to the Greek Isles instead, but that entire cruise allowed me to meet a great number of people that specifically were on that cruise because it was a Holy Land cruise, even though it was changed around. And we had major discussions on what we're perceiving going on in the world today. And people will understand maybe where I'm coming from, and I speak only for myself, but what once seemed right seems wrong today, and what seemed wrong before now is right. To have people celebrating and supporting what I would consider wrong, and bottom line is we just can't seem to count on the future. I'm a fairly strong believer in Scripture, and I believe that we're seeing Scripture itself unfold, the biblical Scripture unfold before us, because I can't even fathom why there's a different, why things are happening the way they are. And so to support innocent killing for the sake of drawing more innocent killing just doesn't make any sense to me. And then having this country, so many people support that is hurtful to my heart. And I obviously pray for this country daily, and thank you, Mr. Supervisor.
Thank you, and welcome back.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being back. Mr. Roman.
I would like to thank all of you for attending today. We appreciate it. And I'd like to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, and my board members Thanksgiving, and for everyone watching at home, thanks for tuning in, and a happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
Mr. Noble.
I'd just like to take a moment of silence. If you recently saw a tragic incident that happened in Austin, Texas, where a police officer was killed and one critically injured earlier this November. Just a moment of silence for those that, the grieving family of that officer that was tragically killed. Thank you, and I just like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Trustee Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'll be pretty quick. Andrea hit a lot of what was on my list. But I did want to just also highlight, along with the coat drive that the fire department is doing on Saturday, December 2nd at JCPenney's, I also wanted to thank the Police Foundation for their donations that they collect of coats and boots that they have donated generously and kindly to our community students. And that's where the coats go that the fire department donate as well. So thank you to anyone that donates to both of those causes. They go to great use, and they stay right here in White Lake. I want to thank VFW Post 4156 for a very successful Veterans Day ceremony, and I also want to thank them for the kind community Thanksgiving dinner that they put on for our veterans and our community residents. I will give a quick library update. They have a red box donation. It is literally a red tote in the lobby. Several other businesses, you might see them there as well. It's part of community sharing and other local, I think the chamber supports it and a couple other organizations, and that is collects toiletries, donations of coats, boots, food, canned goods, things like that. And again, that is distributed right here locally. So if you see those red boxes in front of a business or in the foyer of the library, please take a chance, take a moment to donate there. And then I just want to thank, my notes are a little messed up there. I guess that's it. I want to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and I am so thankful to sit here as your trustee. So, good night.
Thank you. Oh, boy, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight, the crowd, and such the crowd as it is, but the crowd and everyone watching on TV. And I am thankful. I'm thankful that I live in a country that is still operating in some degree of civility, although Big Brother might be creeping around the door, and it's a thought process, and not to discount anything you're saying, okay? So, but we are the land of the free because of being a home of the brave, and the veterans service that we had was very important. And I had mentioned my own personal experience with a Canadian serviceman. And I remember it 50-some years later. And I can tell that story to my grandson, who is now 1-year-old, and my granddaughter, who was born on November 12th, I think. I hope I got that right. It's very important that we are appreciative. So one of the things that we like to do in this community is we like to give back. So we have the coat drive that the fire department is doing right now, which they need your support, and is very important. It's done here. And recently, the chief and myself made a special delivery to Oxbow Elementary and Dublin of some much-needed coats and boots and some other winter things for some of the kids there. So when you can give, if you have that opportunity. So that I say, please bring a perishable item to the Township Hall. We would really like to do that. It's going to make a difference in someone's life. And one woman told me one day, who was actually in tears when I ran into her, and she had 2 small children at one of the shelters, one of the food distribution points. And she was like, she said, I never thought I would have to choose whether to eat or eat my pride. And that stuck in my head. So, it just be thankful. So I want to say to all of you, thank you very much. And, one last thing. I want to thank Mr. Aaron Potter. He's going to be doing something different at the tree lighting, and DLC Engineering and Mr. Potter and the Waterford Robotics team are going to be doing something a little different. So it'll be interesting. So come and see us from 6 to 8. Thank you very much. But thanks to all of you for being here. Thanks for being in White Lake. Thanks for allowing me to be your supervisor. Good night. God bless. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion, support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.